There's only one way to start this episode off, and that's with a big old congratulations to our friends Luke and Doute. I genuinely felt like, oh, this is so nice.
It's partly that, but it's also just it feels so genuine and it's
I
so nice
know.
to watch for a show that has gotten so dark and twisted and stupid. Whenever we get a nice little moment like this, we just need to cherish it. We just need to revel in it, you know?
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only, here comes the Goots.
Yeah. Wow. Bring the goots. Yeah, so I'm down the shore. I am hankering to put my swim trunks on because it is hot already and I just want to get in the ocean. You know, salt water just heals everything. You feeling sad? Hop in the ocean. You got a sinus infection? Get in the ocean. What are we doing here?
If you're down in Hawaii, you don't need to shower. Just jump in the ocean.
I understand that, but that was watching Luke go through the emotions of trying to just get Kristen to get in the shower. It was the most realistic thing I've ever seen on reality TV. Things go wrong when you've got all of these plans in motion and one little wrinkle will pop up because you do know once the glow kind of goes away and she settles in after the engagement, she's going to look back and be like, why the fuck didn't I shower? What the hell?
Yep. And that's the funny part. And like I said earlier, it's kind of like this was like a real moment that we actually got to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many of these that feel like it's part of the show or it's like somewhat scripted or maybe they did multiple takes. But with this, it was so genuine that looking through the process of getting there was that much better. Like the shower thing where he's like trying to come up with any excuse he can. And in my head, you're just thinking of, okay, eventually he's going to piss her off because he's going to keep poking. Then you start this whole thing on a tough note because you're kind of grumpy at each other. And I would imagine that for, I want to say like 70% of surprise proposals with this kind of setup, this is probably a similar trajectory to get there.
Yeah, no, really, honestly. And again, as I said in the opening, the way that this show has gone, it's so nice to just get one of these moments where, yes, there is a lot on the line. It's a very high stakes situation when it comes to Luke and planning all of this, everything that he's going through with his grandmom and then trying to get this in order. And who knows, who doesn't know, who are we letting in on the secret? Who are we not letting in on the secret? There's so many things at stake right now, but it all seems so like inconsequential that
Yeah.
it's really nice because how many times have we seen, especially this season, things are about to pop off and it's either A, incredibly annoying to the viewer, or B, incredibly dark. And we're not really looking forward to it. We know how it's going to play out in the back of our minds, but we don't really want to see it because it's just not something that we should be broadcasting on television. This is one of those things that it's like, wow, this is such a nice moment. But boy, oh boy, is my heart pumping for Luke right now because what is he
Yeah.
going to do? She doesn't want to shower. She doesn't need to shower in Hawaii. You just get in the ocean. It's going to be fine. I don't think they should have done it under the guise of a fishing trip. I
No,
think
it should
that's
have been
pretty
like a
wild.
booze cruise.
Yeah.
Like a
But
sunset
like
booze
then
cruise would have been a good
if you
setup.
do the booze cruise and you've got people like Brittany who don't know, and yeah, I think she did a pretty good job of, she made it about herself a little bit, but she did admit that she was being selfish.
That's
So
when I
I'm
was like,
okay with
okay,
that.
at least she said that. Yeah.
Yeah, she was going down a path that I'm like, Brittany, please
Like,
just
just shut
stop.
up.
Like, you are happy for them. I know you're happy for them, but please don't make this all
Just
about you. And she
stop
didn't. She
talking.
reeled it back in, and that's okay by me. But yeah, the fishing trip, I'm like, what? Why would we do this? Like,
Dude,
what are we talking about? They wanted to go shower, and she's right, by the way.
I
Why would I
know.
shower before getting fish guts all over me? And yeah, I
Correct.
mean, Luke and Danny were fishing, and then Nia kind of like dropped in there. Kristen was not having any of that. She just wanted to go sit in the shade. It's too hot out, too sunny out. I'm getting a little seasick. I don't know what's going on. Everything that could have gone wrong, quote unquote, went wrong. But it wasn't
Yep.
that big of a deal, because in the end, we all know it's going to be
Love
the happiest
wins.
moment of their lives so far. They've had a happier moment since then. So another congratulations to Luke and Kristen. But it was just fun. This is what we need. We need episodes like this to break up the monotony. We need to see something that's going to make us happy.
I agree, and it made me laugh really hard because it reminded me of when I proposed to Dev. It was COVID and it was like 99 degrees out, and I was working at a gym, and I was like trying to figure out a way to get her onto the Green Street Bridge in Manayunk, and I didn't
Hmm.
know how to do it. And I was like, "Oh, we have to do a virtual 5K for the gym, so we have to do the 5K and then take a picture at the end to prove that we did it." And she was like, "Why don't we just take a picture and act like we did it?" I was like, "No, no, like we really got to go and do it." And
Jesus.
like she kept trying to figure out ways to like skirt around it. I finally
You,
convinced her. It was so
uh,
hot. I was wearing a gray shirt. I was covered in sweat. And I put my phone down to pretend to take the picture and took a video of me proposing. I did surprise
yeah,
her. But like the whole lead up was similar to like, why the fuck are we doing this? It is way too hot out here. And
that's
you know,
so
the
funny.
thing about me, you know me, I don't do cardio. I don't like run. I
No,
don't do walks. So she was
you know
very
what you
thrown off.
did right there? You did like the physical embodiment engagement style of holy shit, did I just marry myself into a family that does 5Ks on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving morning? Like
Yeah.
that's
No.
what Dev was thinking. She's like, Jesus
She's
Christ.
like, fuck,
What are
I
we
didn't know
why
that.
the hell would we run a virtual 5K in 99-degree heat? What are
Yep.
we gonna kill ourselves? Like what's the plan here?
She said no because she thought that it was a 5K family invitation. And then I had to convince her otherwise. And then she said, yeah.
It's incredible. Well, you know what? Points to Dev for that one.
She didn't say no, guys. She said yes right away. It was very nice.
Yeah, she didn't say no to that. Yeah, she said no to the 5K, which is a smart idea.
Actually, her first response was, "Are you joking?" And I was like, "No,
I wish.
no, that was the greatest day ever." But anyway, this isn't about me. It's about Luke and it's about Doty. So let's jump into this episode. And watching him on the lead up was giving me so much anxiety. So much. And like
Yeah.
the other side of it, obviously, being that his grandmother's not doing great. So he's having to deal
Mhm.
with that. The pressure of keeping everything together for the next day, making sure everything's lined up. It's a lot. So, like, he has every right to be this frazzled. But watching it happen, I was like, oh, I'm uneasy. Like,
Yeah.
somebody sit him down.
Yeah. Somebody please sit him down. But also, I don't know if you felt this. When we watched the trailer, we watched the mid-season trailer, we saw the trip going to Hawaii. They
Hmm.
kept really pushing that moment where Luke was out on the balcony in his underwear running away, freaking out. And we're like, oh wow, is this gonna be like a big thing? Are we gonna have to like
Yeah.
worry about what's going
He's
on?
like, I just want support,
Instead,
Kristen.
yeah, I thought it was going to be a big thing, like a big breaking point where they were going to get into a fight or something. And once we get here, I'm like, oh, okay. So he's really going through it. I do hope that Kristen's got him, and Kristen has him. Like,
She always
I've
has
never
him.
seen, I have never seen Kristen this supportive of a significant other. And obviously, we're going back to the VPR days where everybody on that show is a train wreck. So I'm not going to hold it against anyone. Well, some people still deserve to get held against them, but Kristen doesn't. Kristen has matured in a completely different way. And this relationship is so good that while he's going through all of this, the way she's even talking about him to other people, to people like Zach, she's like, you know what? He's going through a lot. Like, I feel bad for the guy. I just want to make sure he's okay. And it's like, whoa, this is
It was
awesome.
so
This is so
sweet.
great to see. But then we
Yeah.
get a little clip of him running away, and it's an afterthought. It's just Luke's going through a hard time right now. He had a moment where he ran down the hallway in his underwear to get away from it all. You feel bad for him, but it wasn't a big sticking point. It was just
No.
like here's a little flashback to what happened last night. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I thought this was going to be so much worse, but it's good. We're okay. We're going to get through this.
And like, I'm glad that they took that approach, especially with this production team, because we know that they have a history of aiming towards darker
Yeah.
things and fucking
Yep.
up the show. They could have made this episode a lot different, but instead
Yeah.
they did decide to highlight Luke and Doty and the happy moments, and that's good. And to your point of the support, and it goes both ways, which is the best part. But as Luke is walking outside, Doty's like, "Hey, you're in your underwear.
You don't have any
Hey,
pants
honey,
on.
honey, you're
Uh,
naked. Okay,
all
I'll
right.
be here. I'll be here when you're
Yep.
ready to talk." But they go to dinner. Everyone's all there together, and you can see Luke, and the nerves are getting to him. And Nia and Doty obviously both share the same sentiment about Janet at this point. And they're now at the point where they're just talking about it openly. Janet didn't hear them,
Yep.
but you can tell that they're fed up with this entire thing. So it's going to reach ahead. We're getting to that point
Yep.
where this is going to go one way or the other, probably south. But the side story of this episode is another love story, if you will, of Jesse and Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like Aaron. I don't like the way he approaches things and like some of the things he says. I'm like that it's
Yeah.
almost too forward. On the flip side of him saying like, you guys don't even see the worst of it. I believe him. Like I would
Yeah.
imagine Jesse's a disaster to deal with. So I do sympathize with him a little bit. But when it comes to him talking, I'm like, the way you say shit would piss me off too. So it's like this
Mhm.
weird middle ground. If I feel bad for him and Michelle, but he's also fucking annoying.
He is. He really is. And this was another thing that we saw a lot of, going back to the trailer last week for the sneak peek to the next episode, all the way back to the mid-season trailer, original trailer. This was another moment where it's like, all right, Jesse, like you got to calm down. The way this
Yeah.
started off, I didn't see that happening at all. Apparently, Aaron posted a picture of him and Isabella on Father's Day.
That's
What?
crazy, bro. That's
And look,
fucked up.
we had this, you and I had this conversation last week where it's like, yeah, do you think that like Michelle and Jesse should have probably sat down with Aaron, talked about boundaries when it comes to Isabella, when it comes to, being a father and all of those things? Hi. Sorry, my niece is just running around crazy right now. You
Hey.
want to say hi? No? Okay. All right. You're good. But yeah, when it comes to the two of them, it's just insane to watch that because we get to see the two of them sit down and they immediately go right into it, something that we talked about last week. And it's like, why would you do that? And I don't care what you like. The excuse was insane. I wasn't thinking about it. I was
It was
just,
just a
there
good
was a lot
day.
going on. It was just a good day. Like, I'm sorry, dude. And you know what? I'm putting this on Michelle. I am putting this
I
firmly
am
on
too.
Michelle. Yes, Aaron, he's an asshole. He's going to do things like this. You can blame Jesse all you want, but Michelle should have the say at the last moment. Like, wait, maybe wait a
Hey,
day,
this comes off the
maybe
wrong way.
post this picture next weekend and act like it was this weekend. If Jesse
Yeah.
still has a problem with it, all you have to say is, yeah, you know what, this was taken on Father's Day. Like, you knew that we were all together on Father's Day, but we didn't want to post it on Father's Day. Then at least it's like, okay, we had the wherewithal to not do something like that, to not try to show you up on your day, and here we go. That's fine. But to post it on Father's Day is asinine. It's insane that he did that. And I'm like, I'm on Jesse's team. I'm
In
sorry, but
that
like I
moment
didn't
I
think
was
I was
too.
going to be, but I'm on Jesse's team with all of this. And I agree that, you know what? Naturally speaking, we are going to progress through this because the way that Aaron was talking, we're going to get to the point of, let's see, did you cross any boundaries while she was still my wife? And she's still his wife right now. They haven't fully gotten divorced, but while we were still together, while we were living together, while we were still working on our marriage, did you cross any boundaries? I'm okay with him asking that question
So am
after
I.
what we just watched.
Well, after hearing the Father's Day thing, I'm like, all right. But before that, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is the right time or place to do this whole thing. The Father's Day thing, I'm like, all right, ask him whatever you want. That's crazy talk, especially to say
Yep.
you didn't know, because if you're on Instagram on Father's Day, every post is a Father's Day post. So to
Yeah.
say that I didn't know is just crazy. But
Yeah.
as the whole thing shakes out, and Aaron denies, says, no, absolutely not. But then the story changes ever so slightly. He's like, no,
Hmm.
never. It was just that one coffee meetup. It's like, well, that's something. And the honey store when I in Runyon, I was like, that's two things. And originally he
Two
said
things
nothing.
that immediately corroborate what Jesse has been talking about this whole season, where there
Yeah.
were multiple coffee dates. Once you cop to the one and you say, yeah, it was just the one coffee date, we've already heard Jesse say that she's done it multiple times. She's gone to the coffee shop, she got all dressed up, she put perfume on, he asked what was going on. There's the confirmation that you need right there. The second thing that Jesse's been talking about is the honey shop in Runyon.
Yeah.
And he immediately confirms that. It's like she's gone there multiple times and she comes back with this
Yeah.
honey. You're saying, oh, yeah, it only happened once there, once there. We already talked about this and we already know that it's happened multiple times. So that immediately just adds context to it. It's like, what the
Hmm.
hell? Why would you even cop to that? Like, I'm obviously, we're not supporting cheating at this point. But
No,
if you're Aaron, you just go into full denial. You do
I think
not
that's probably
cop to
the
anything
best
when it comes
route
to
so that
Jesse.
you, Jesse, and Michelle can all have a amicable relationship. If it comes
Yeah.
out now, like if we get actual evidence, it's gonna make it infinitely worse because
Yeah.
he had the chance to cop to it. But I don't know. I agree with Jesse or Aaron. I agree with Aaron in some of the things he was saying, like, respect is a two-way street. Like you respect us, we'll respect you. I'm like, okay, I agree with him there. So it's like a nuanced thing. And I understand it's a conversation that needs to be had for the sake of the
Yep.
kid. It's simply the way he goes about these things where I'm like, okay, like I'm on Michelle's team with this for the most part,
Hmm.
even though there's some questionable decisions being made, like the Father's Day post. But Aaron, you got to learn how to say it better because it's
Yeah.
combative the way that he comes at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But quick check in with Danny and Nia, and they give us a recap of Luke. This is actually where we see Luke wandering the halls after snorting some wasabi and
Hmm.
saying to Kristen, I just want some support. And they both say that he was struggling and it is what it is. And this is the moment where you see from Doute where she's like, he's been through a lot. And I guess he's bouncing back
Hmm.
this morning. He even walks in the room later and he's like, thank you guys. Like, I'm good now. So he's on the right track. We started the day off better. So,
Look, they
yeah.
went golfing. This is just here you go. You're going to Hawaii. Just get out and go golfing. I don't
Yeah,
care
go
who you're
swing the
with. Go out
sticks.
with your friends, guy or girl, whoever it might be. Go on out there. Go hang out with your friends. Hit the golf course. You're going to feel better. I don't care how many balls you bring. If you're Luke, he had like 15 sleeves. I don't know how much golfing he thought he was going to do, but he brought them all. Maybe he just played better and didn't lose any balls. Good for him. We're happy for him. But he seems so much more relaxed in the morning. And like we said earlier, to see Doute talking to her friend Zach and Benji, going through everything and really supportive of what Luke is going through without knowing the biggest thing that Luke is going through is just so nice to see. It's just
Yeah,
great to see that kind of support. And that's the kind of love that we need on this show right now.
I know. Just love, love,
Makes you feel
love.
all warm and fuzzy inside, you know?
And tingly and shit. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like the tingles, the shooter tingle.
It
No?
doesn't sound that. I mean, I thought it was gonna sound worse. It wasn't terrible.
It's, yeah,
Uh,
all right, cool.
yeah. Nope. I'm not gonna do this game. Let's get to the whole crew. We got Janet, Brittany, Michelle, Aaron, and some others sitting, and I think they're eating lunch or something. But they're just kind of chatting amongst themselves. They're by the pool. That's right. And they're just chatting amongst themselves. Janet and Kristen have not spoke since the uh, Mexican
Taco?
restaurant, the
Yeah,
taco,
taco place?
whatever.
Whatever they called it.
I think they call it Coyote, which is a cool name. I
El
think I had heard
Coyote,
that.
yeah, that's what it
I think
was.
that's what I heard. But
It's pretty sweet.
when you're starting to lose support from Michelle, because Michelle, as we know, like is pretty close with Janet. They usually get
Mhm.
along. Even at the taco thing, Janet was yelling on behalf of Michelle for some of that.
Yeah.
And even before Michelle's confessional, she says to Janet, like, yeah, you mean when you yelled at her? Like, yeah, because you yelled at her. So she's getting to the point where she's like, Jesus Christ. And then in her confessional, she's pissed off because once again, she brings up the Jenna shit that Aaron had
Mhm.
hooked up with Jenna. Janet's like, why would Doty bring her around knowing that, blah, blah, blah. One, we know that she didn't do it. And just because
Yep.
you hear her, here's the funny thing. Yes, Doty has a reputation from the past. Okay. We know her character arc, what it's been, and where she's at now. Did she throw rumors out there previously? Sure. It's part of the show. It's part of her lore in VPR.
Yeah.
But just because of that, you can't blame every single rumor on Doty.
This one was kind of funny because I did kind of change my opinion on it
Oh,
after seeing
interesting.
because we saw a clip that we hadn't seen before, and I guess it was at
Oh, maybe I was
Jax's
writing.
bar. Yeah. Oh, so it was at Jax's bar apparently, where Jenna was there once again, and
Hmm.
Michelle was standing there, and I guess or no, I'm sorry, it was Michelle and Aaron were standing there. When Dodie came over and started talking to Aaron, she said, "Oh, you're friends with, or rather, Jenna," and that was before Kristen's party, I believe. So now I'm thinking there is a chance that she's just kind of sliding these things around, just putting things into place. Why not? You know what? She seems to be on Team Jesse, as we saw in the first episode. Maybe she's just putting things here and there just to, try to protect herself, if you will, in case anything goes sideways, in case Dodie gets thrown under the bus. But really, this is all your reputation precedes you. And this is one of those situations where no matter what goes wrong, everybody's standing or sitting on pins and needles, like, oh shit, did Dodie do this? Oh God, is this part of a larger plan? And that also might be a Dodie thing, where she just puts things into place, but she's not actually going to act on them. She just wants
Maybe.
people to see, like, oh crap, is there something bigger going to happen here? Maybe I need to mind my P's and Q's. Maybe I need to be nice to Kristen, or else she's going to unleash this dragon on me. And it's Jenna because she hooked up with Aaron before. And I love Michelle sitting there saying, what? Because she hooked up with him once?
Yeah.
Aaron has already told us, and Jenna has told us, they dated and then did the slip back and dated a couple of months later after breaking back up. So that's not just a hookup once. They actually full blown dated. I would have more respect for Michelle if she's like, look, they dated. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? I didn't know Aaron at the time. We've known Jenna for a long time. She's been in VPR before. So that's a different situation. Just own it and be okay with it. Everybody's got a past. You've got a past with Jesse right here in front of us. And we're talking about that constantly. Why can't Aaron have a past? So I don't like this. I know Michelle's going through a lot, so we've given her a pass for a lot of things. This one's just stupid. Just move on from it. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't understand getting stuck on it. I do understand, especially coming from somebody like Janet, getting aggravated at it and feeling the need to respond. And I think that's what Janet does. I
Yeah.
think her being such an irritant just brings this out of people. And like that's her goal, I think, because then she's able to play the card of, whoa, why are you getting so mad? Why are you yelling? It's like,
Exactly.
because of you, Janet, because of you. But she's talking all about Doute taking accountability. Meanwhile, she's not taking accountability for yelling across the table and ruining that dinner. And that's what
Mhm.
Michelle's like saying. So the irony in her accepting no accountability is just so frustrating. She is legitimately probably the most miserable person I've ever seen on TV. Like she's just not a happy person. And I think that's the root of it
She
all.
she is, and I don't know if you saw I don't know if you saw what I put up for questions, but Janet has gone private on Instagram.
Oh, I saw.
So now, yeah. So now she's sitting here. I guess and I don't even think this is Janet's worst episode by any stretch, but for
No, it's
whatever
just
reason, she
like
decided to go
annoying.
private after this.
I
Yeah, it's
think
just
this
like I can't limit your comments. Why are you going full private?
yeah, that's a tough move. And it's uh, this episode wasn't like full blown Janet being the worst, but it was so
Mhm.
many little reminders of why she's so aggravating. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably why, because it's all the things that she does just in like smaller doses throughout the episode. So by the end of it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you just can't be happy. Like it's
I
quite
agree with
clear.
that. This was an episode of just like her showcasing all of the things that annoy us, but it looks like she might be proven right when she's talking about how she's done. She doesn't even want to go to the thing tomorrow, and everyone's like, "All right, like that's crazy." You see the clip for next week, and it's like maybe you shouldn't have gone.
Well, I mean, there's a middle ground there. Like,
Yeah,
obviously, yeah, if like shit pops off, you shouldn't have gone. But I also think that I know what I'll wait until we talk about that scene
yeah. That's fair.
because
I jumped the gun.
we're
I couldn't help
you're
myself.
good. No, I know, I get it. Trust me. But let's get to Benji and Zach. Adorable couple, by the way.
Yeah,
These two,
love
very
them.
sweet. But this is also why, you know, Zach did a great job with this whole thing. I will say that it was well executed, all of those things. But Jasmine figured it out. And I don't know if Jasmine figured it out because Jasmine's really good and just like picked up on some vibes because she said something's off around here,
Bit of both.
or if Zach offered too much info early. I think that.
We know Zach offered too much information because he already said there was a surprise, and then everyone's like, "Wait, what's this big surprise?" And I'm sure he pulled Janet or Jasmine aside after that dinner at El Coyote because Jasmine went to Kristen and said, "What's this big surprise?" Like,
Oh, yeah.
you have to see that and be like, "Oh shit! All right, yeah, I got to
Shh,
rein it in."
just don't
But
say anything, dude.
he clearly hasn't learned anything because he's also insinuating to Janet that there's something else going on, that things will make sense by the end of the trip or whatever he said to her. Stop dropping the little nuggets. I know you can't help yourself. Zach seems like the type of guy. I also loved his
He's just
shirt.
like, whoo.
Did you see his shirt? It said soccer mom on it. Such a great
Oh,
shirt.
I want that. I want to make that into a
Yeah.
crop top. That'd
I
be
yeah.
sick.
Talk to Zach, see where he got that one from because that's great. And I know you know him. You guys have met before. You met Benji too, if I'm
Southern
not
Charm
mistaken.
reunion. Did I ever tell you
Yeah,
about that?
yeah.
Or not reunion,
I don't
the premiere of Southern Charm in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's pretty sweet. I think Andy Cohen was there too.
Yeah, check
But
my Instagram for a dope ass pic.
but yeah, like he can't help himself. I'm sorry, but like we've seen this before. And I like this too because he can't help himself for two reasons. One, it's just his personality. When he has a secret, he's definitely the type of guy that you can see it on his face. Like, what?
He's like
What do you
bursting at the
have?
seams.
What do you know that we don't know? Tell us right now. And he will, in so many different ways, beat around the bush, but end up telling you.
Yeah.
The other part is he's just so excited and he's so happy for them that he really can't contain himself. And I like these little scenes where he's talking to Benji about it because Benji's excited too. Benji's so happy to be there. and Zach's so happy that Benji's there. They're both so happy together. And I just love that this was such a good episode for everybody aside from Janet. Everybody just being so excited for Kristen and Luke.
Yeah, it
Just
was sweet.
it comes through the screen so nicely where it's like I genuinely feel like you guys are very happy for them, where it's not like this, we're just going to act like we're really happy because we're on the camera and we don't want any issues. It's an engagement. We don't really feel like going through with any of this. Zach was so excited to do all these things and he
They,
crushed it.
they all seem to be. He did a
Yeah.
great job. It's just funny watching him like try to contain himself until they get to the actual event. Even with this, they just look at the shirts and like the second they zip up the bag, Doute walks in and it's like, hey, it's like, Jesus,
Yeah.
man. Like, get
She
it under
immediately comments
wraps.
on like his shirt, on Benji's like kimono.
I
She's
know.
just going through like talking about everything in the room, and he's like, "Fuck, my God, please don't look over there at that bag."
That was way too close, man. It was way too close. But Doty defends Luke again because Zach's like, it's so, and this is funny, but he's like, it's so really nice to find somebody that's like more dramatic than you sometimes. And she's like, look, he's had a long night, like lots
Yeah,
going
this was
on.
nice.
That was funny though. And that's when Luke walks in and says, yep, I was a disaster. I'm good now. We love the self-awareness, self-aware
Yep.
king. Hell yeah, brother. And in the midst of all of this, Nia sends an inspo picture to Luke and Doty in the group chat to be like, this is what we're doing. And Danny's like, what the fuck? He's like, it looks like they just got engaged. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, wow, everyone sucks at this. You guys are terrible at this. Like, just fucking be cool, everybody.
Like, why wouldn't Nia just take a picture of like, take a screenshot of 4 people, 2 couples on the edge of a boat, taking a picture at the sunset in Hawaii? I'm sure there are millions of pictures exactly like that. Instead, she sends the one picture that she finds. She's like, this couple looks really happy.
And the,
It
the
looks
girl's
like
just like staring at her head.
it looks like they just one of them got a huge weight lifted off of their chest. The other one is so excited for the life that they're gonna have. Oh, oh, is that an engagement?
Oh,
Oh, okay. I could
shit.
see how you could see it that way. And Danny's like, what the hell?
Yep.
Why would you do this? Meanwhile, Kristen's like, you fucking kidding me? This is a fishing trip. Why are we doing inspo pics? I don't want to look cute. I'm gonna have fish guts all over me. What are
Yep.
we doing here? She is so confused, and she's like, I just don't feel like I'm not gonna shower. I'm not doing any of this. What are we talking about?
But she's right.
She is so
She's
right. She
right.
is so right. This again, that's where I think it was. They did fishing trip because it was able to ward off people like Brittany. It was able to ward off, Janet and Jason, whatever. Who cares about them? But like
No,
obviously
Brittany wanted to
Zach and
go.
Benji aren't gonna. I know Brittany, of course, wanted
She
to
was
go,
pissed.
and they were like, no, 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 you're okay. Why don't you say? I actually don't think it would have been that bad if you let Brittany in on it. She would have been just as excited. Her and Kristen do have a good friendship.
Yeah, but
We do
they're in a
call
weird
Brittany out all
spot
the
right
time.
now.
They are in a
Remember?
weird spot, and who knows? You tell Brittany, she'll probably tell Janet, and then Janet will ruin it just so she can get the satisfaction. But I, I, I don't, I don't know. I could see it going either way, but doing it under the guise of a fishing trip is crazy. What you should have done is, hey, we're 2 really happy couples. Obviously, we don't get along with Janet and Jason. Zach and Benji, they want to go do their own thing. Like, there's so many things you could have said. Instead, they were like, fishing trip. That's going to ward everybody off. It's like, you almost warded off your future fiance because she doesn't want to go on a fishing trip either.
But she's ride or die, so she got on that boat.
Yep.
So nice job. They get it together enough for all of this to go through. It was just funny watching us get to the finish line.
Yeah. The
And
steps that we had to take were very funny.
then we get a scene I didn't care about. Jax is swimming with Cruz. He finally
Who gives a
stopped
shit?
getting Botox and haircuts so he could spend some time with his kid. And the bullshit confessionals that we get that they keep shoving in our face to try to get some
He's been out
sympathy
of
for
the
this
rehab for
man.
2 weeks at this point. Why are we still showing the confessionals? He's
No
now with
idea.
his son. If you want to show that scene of him with Cruz, fine. You know what? I'm not going to stop you because he is still a character on this show. I'm not even going to call him a castmate. He's a character on this show. He's playing up for the cameras, of course. I'm more worried. Who's there with him? Is it just their nanny? Because that's not enough.
That's
I
what
need
I was
Brittany's
thinking
mom
too.
there. I need somebody else there. Whoever's back in LA, I need a bunch of people there because I don't trust him with
CPS.
CPS should be there. Somebody should be watching over him with Cruz because I just don't trust him. I truly don't, obviously. But we don't need the confessionals anymore. I'm so
No, dude.
tired. Like, why are we still doing these fucking what does he have in there? A camcorder? Like, why are they putting the little effects on there that you would see on there's
The
an
Blair
Instagram
Witch
filter for that.
Project.
Yeah, it's like the recording beeping. what time it is, what day it is. It's like we don't need all that. I know that's just a filter that you guys put on to make us realize that he's taking this. He took it with his phone. Like enough
It's
of
like
this
that
shit.
original Instagram filter where it makes it look like old timey,
Yeah,
like when they just launched the
1,000%.
app.
Yeah, and it's like black and white because, cameras don't really work in color. It's 2025, like, enough of this shit. But here we are watching it again. Just have him go to a confessional on the couch like everybody else does. I don't need to see this. This makes it seem like he was in prison. He wasn't. He could have left whenever the hell he wanted,
He
and he
did
did
leave
leave
whenever he
whenever the
wanted.
hell he wanted. So, like, why are we still doing this? I just don't get it. So this scene, my only worry was who's there with Jax with the kid. Otherwise, don't need it. Just move on.
No, I don't either. And for the sole reason of I know what they're trying to do. And I think it's fucking gross to try to force us into thinking that
Yep.
he's redeemed. And the second bigger part of it is this kid's been through enough. We had to
Yep.
see him cower away from his dad. We had to see him running away from like his mom while she's talking about it openly, the disaster that is their relationship. He's done
Yep.
enough. Like, get him the fuck off the screen. Anybody
Do you know
involved with this
what's
kid, get him off the screen.
Do you know what's pretty interesting though? So I genuinely, and this wasn't like a Jedi mind trick I did to myself, I forgot Jax was even on the show for like
Yeah,
a,
no,
a
that's
few minutes
I
there.
kind of did too.
And because we're in Hawaii, when it popped up and said LA, I was genuinely confused. I'm like, wait, who's back in LA? Like, who are we going to see? Please don't show us Sheena and Lala.
No,
And
boy.
instead it was Jax. I'm like, oh God, really? How much are we going to, we didn't really spend a whole lot of time there. So I didn't really care.
I'm glad it was quick.
But for me, the happiness of him not being there, I didn't realize. And that shows you what you need next season. If Jax is gone, yeah, you can probably leave Janet and Jason because there's so much shit going on there and they're going to get their comeuppance anyway. But otherwise, if Jax is gone, the show is immediately so much better.
It
It's
was.
just immediately better. And you know what? I think maybe things went off the rails. And I'm not just talking about us, but like people online were talking about how dark the show got, how bad the show got, blah, 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 blah. I think we can handle the situations that Janet presents. I think we can handle
Mhm.
the situations that Jason presents when it comes to the group, as long as we don't have Jax there to immediately bog us down again. Like we can handle all of that because it seems like something that we can get through. We're seeing some lines drawn in the sands. We're seeing some friendships be formed with Nia and Danny, Kristen and Luke. They're really close. Jesse's involved. Zach and Benji. Like there's enough there where as long as Jax Taylor's not in the picture, the show does have a chance. So I think that is something that we can work on here where we don't really have to do a whole lot. You just need to kick this asshole off the screen.
This episode was proof of that. This was a
Yes.
good episode. It was.
Yes,
And
it
you
was.
still had drama between people. You had happy moments. You had a lot to work with here. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. This was the first episode in a few weeks where I was watching the entire time. I
Yep.
laughed a couple of times. Like it was just a good experience. And that was
Mhm.
completely void of Jack's Taylor. The only part of this I didn't like was when he was on the screen. I'm like, why the fuck are we doing this? And then
Yeah,
the minute we get away from it, I'm like, oh, I'm good again. And we're in Hawaii. This is dope. So
exactly.
you're 100% correct. This is proof of what the show can be without Jax on it. We don't need him.
Yep.
We really don't need him. But well, some of the ladies are taking some hula lessons. Would you do hula lessons?
Absolutely.
I
Why
think
not?
I would too. That'd be fun.
I'd like
They're
to do
doing.
hula hoop lessons.
Oh, I
I'm not really
sometimes I can
I
do
don't
them and
have hip
sometimes I don't.
flexibility, and I think it would help with my golf game. So like I kind of want to learn.
They buy it. They get one of those weighted hula hoops.
Oh,
Yeah, now we're talking.
all right.
Yeah,
Maybe you
but
and I
what
could both get in the hula hoop and see what happens.
the image that just came in my head. It's like, oh my god.
Were we naked?
No, we weren't actually.
All
We
right.
weren't. I'm not in your head. This is my head. But let's talk about Jesse, Jason, and Aaron. These kinds of scenes I'm cool with. I'm okay with some razzing. I'm
Yep.
okay if they get to a place where they're at least comfortable with each other. I wasn't sure how it was going to go because he brings up when's the last time you played hockey? He's like, you really want to go there? I was like, what are you challenging him to a hockey fight? Like, what is that?
I was like, and I guess this was kind of where it went, but I'm like, did he have some traumatic injury that like stopped everything and he doesn't want to talk about it? And I guess it kind of was that, but it was another
Sorta,
thing entirely. We went
but
down a
just the
weird path
setup.
with this. Yeah.
The setup, I was like, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Turns out back in 2016, he was playing. That's the last time he played. He got folded in the boards and got a really bad concussion, went to the hospital, and him and Michelle at the time were broken up. He had nobody to call, which is sad, by
That
the
is really
way.
sad. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really sad. Had nobody to call to pick him up. So he called Michelle. She picked him up. They reconnected, and that's where they restarted and eventually got
Mhm.
married. And Aaron's like, "Oh, you guys, would you have gotten back together?" He's like, "No, probably not,
He
honestly."
said that in production, yeah, or
Oh, is
in
that
his
what the confessional?
yeah, in his confessional. The producer even asked him like, "Wait, so you only got back together with Michelle because you were severely concussed?" And he's like, "Yeah, pretty much." Like,
Yeah, put it that
okay,
way.
all
Yeah,
right, yeah.
tough. Maybe he
I'm
was
sure,
like
like at the
delightful
time,
concussed.
yeah, maybe he was just like a better person. Who knows? Maybe I'm not gonna wish that he's concussed all the time, but maybe that would help. It could
It
help.
might. It
It
very well
definitely might.
might.
Yeah,
Not the
and I'm
brain
sure at the
damage,
time
but
it's kind of like a spin zone of like things happen for a reason. We broke up. We weren't really sure where to go. I got concussed. We came back together. Wow, that's really nice. Like that could be a speech at their wedding. Like
sure.
I would be sure that like whoever his best man was, even though he had nobody to call, which is sad. It was probably Jax actually talking
Oh,
about that story. Like, hey, they weren't going to get back together, but then Jesse got concussed and he realized what he needed. And now it's a really nice story. But now we're looking back and you're like, oh shit, you guys are going through a divorce. Now it's a really sad story and it's kind of stupid.
hmm
God,
yeah,
that's
it's a
hard,
bummer.
Aaron.
It's a bit of a bummer, but Jesse and Aaron seem to be reaching the common ground, and that's nice. They're talking about Isabella, and Jesse's big enough to say, "Look, I won't call Michelle a whore anymore." It's like, "Oh, good for you,
Big step.
buddy." It's a huge
Everybody has to
step,
do it.
and
Yep.
that's where Jesse, says like respect is a two-way street, and this is all they need to be, you know,
Yep.
cordial in
That's all we
front of
need.
each other. Just
Yep.
you don't have to be best
Just for the
buds.
sake of Isabella and slightly for Michelle too. But
Yeah, and like
because
even when, go ahead.
as a Jesse supporter, which I haven't been for a long time, um, I do think that if you can get to the place with Aaron where you're not razzing, like you can razz him, whatever, but you're not actively destroying or acting like you're trying to destroy his life and trying to get into the middle of everybody, then you can kind of remove yourself from that whole situation. And we've
Yeah,
seen Michelle be just as toxic as Jesse, but Jesse gets a little bit more action because he's so much louder. If you take yourself out of that situation and you're at least cordial with Aaron and you're cordial with Michelle and Michelle's still doing it, then it's on her. Then that's her problem if she's going to keep doing that. And then you can point to everybody. Obviously, we're on a camera show. Camera show.
I
We're on a
can't.
show with a lot of
One
cameras.
of them, one
A
of them
hidden
newfangled
camera
camera
show.
shows.
I do think that a lot of these shows should start being hidden. Like, could you imagine? I don't know if I would watch this actually. Now that I'm going to talk about it right now. If there was a hidden camera show where you tell Jax that he's off the show, but you keep the cameras around
No,
just to
oh
see what he
god, no,
actually does.
no, that would be disastrous,
just
dude.
just I
Holy
just we
shit,
just need one season so that those idiots from a podcast that we won't name that don't
that we're
like us
talking
because we don't
shit
like the
about
fact.
us.
Yeah,
We don't
I
talk
just
shit
need
about
them to see.
anybody, but they're talking shit about us.
The
Sick.
spin zone on that would be great. Like, oh yeah, he's sober for 210 days. Wait, what's he doing? Oh,
Oh,
that's
that
not sober. Oh
no,
gosh.
that oh god, we were totally wrong. How could we defend this man? I don't. That's fucking nuts. But even like the FaceTime to Jax, which was quick enough that I'm like,
Okay.
whatever. And he's like, I need to stir shit up. It's like, oh, you suck so much. But like Aaron being behind Jesse and he's like, look at my best fucking friend, like this fucking guy. And I was like, okay, I'm okay.
We're gonna get
I,
massages later.
I'm okay with where they're at. And I hope that
Yeah.
Jen
Hope
also
that continues.
by the way, your Jesse bias is still there. I don't believe that Michelle is as toxic as Jesse. I think she has her moments.
It's pretty even.
Let's get to the boat ride with Doute and Luke and Danny and Nia. They're on the boat trying to get things ordered. All right, so we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Nia
He's
catches
sitting on the bag.
yeah, and Nia catches a fish and then stopped fishing, I believe, after they killed her fish. They used it as a bait fish, and that bummed
Yeah.
her out. But yeah, they're just trying to figure out how to get Doty out on the rail so that they
Mhm.
can take a picture. And she doesn't want to. She's like, it's humid as shit. Everything's sticky. We're on a
Yep.
boat. I'm not having fun. And they're like, no. Like, they all have different reasons for why they want to take the picture. And they're just
Mhm.
scrambling to figure this whole thing out. She is borderline meltdown. She even says that she's borderline meltdown. She's getting
Yeah.
close. And they have to just like, it went well, but just give her a sec. I know you guys are giddy, but like, just fucking wait for a sec.
I know.
Relax.
Like the whole plan of, oh, this is a really good idea. We're gonna yell that we see some dolphins, and I'm like, that's yeah, I guess that'll probably get her out of the little cabin that she's sitting
You
in,
could
but
have done that
I don't know what we're
initially.
gonna do
"Oh,
after
shit, come
that.
out here, there's dolphins," and then do it.
Yeah,
Like,
just
what?
get her out of there so that Luke can get in there and get the ring. You know what? I guess, I mean, I would probably get worried about this too. If you have a really, really expensive ring from Kyle Chan in your pocket and you're on a boat, you're going to be worried about that thing the whole time,
Definitely.
the entire time. So maybe do leave it in the bag for the time being at least. But yeah, them going through all the strategies and whispering and trying to figure it out. Nia's just trying her hardest. Like, Kristen, come on, we got to get some pictures taken. She's like, I don't want to. I'm not going to do it. I'm
"I'm
not coming out.
trying."
She's she's getting like seasick because it's just like rattling back and forth. And she's like, "Oh God, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go back. I want to get a drink. I just don't want to deal with this."
"I wanna take a
Luckily, it all
fucking
worked out.
shower."
This was not one of those situations that we've seen before where you go to confessionals and people are explaining what happened and they're obviously playing it up, trying to say that it was way more dramatic than it was. This was all happening in real time. We
It was
saw
great.
all of this.
It was
This
so
was a
good.
complete clusterfuck that just somehow worked out perfectly. Thank God, because it
I
was a really
know.
nice moment. It was really nice when she turns around and she goes, "Oh fuck, oh, I'm so sorry for saying fuck. I'm
It
so
was
sorry.
just
What
all of
is
it
this?"
was so genuine, dude, and, like, she's had obviously a crazy run to get here. We've all been witness to it. We've watched her on VPR for
Yep.
years, and all she's really wanted at this stage in her life is a husband, a kid, and that life. And when she turned around and said, "Is this real?" And like her, you just saw the emotion in her face, and like
Yeah.
that line of "Is this real?" was so real. And like
Yeah.
watching those two with each other is something we don't really see on reality TV very
No, we
often,
don't.
like that level of connection. And it was a beautiful moment. And once again, I just want to say congratulations, Luke and Doty, because you deserve it. Both of you deserve each
They
other.
absolutely do.
Lovely, lovely people, lovely
Yeah.
couple. And that was a lovely moment.
It really was. I'm so happy for them, honestly. And I'm
But Luke, the ring goes in the left hand.
Did he put it on the right hand? God, they're so great. They really are so great. I just can't help but laugh at some things that they do, but you know, it's in such a nice way.
Yep, agreed. Agreed. But let's get back to the hotel. We got to check on Benji and Zach because they're trying to wheel and deal, get everything
He
set
didn't
up.
tell Jesse.
That was the best part. I forgot that Jesse was part of the presidential suite, and he just strolls in. They're like, "Oh, right, Jesse."
They're
So
cleaning
any
everything up. They're like, "Whose underwear is this?" I've already seen Jesse's ass. I might as well just pick it up. Benji's like, "Whatever, I don't care." Pick it on up. Oh, we got to tell Jesse. All right, let's
yeah,
sit him down in his towel after he just took a shower. Thankfully, he's done showering. We don't have to walk in there and tell
his response is the funniest shit ever. Well, we need to get 500 white rose petals and 500 hibiscus leaves. Let's get 5,000 flowers. I was like, "What the fuck were you doing in the bathroom? what, what are you coming out here saying?"
him.
Like, that's a ridiculous amount of flowers.
He just seems like he just like clicked into this weird showman situation where he's like,
Yeah.
"We got to do this. I love love, and we got to celebrate this as much as possible." You know what I would want? I would want 5,000 hibiscus petals. We can get that. Let me call. We're in the presidential suite. Are you kidding me? Let me
That was the
call and do
vibe.
this. Yeah,
Like,
that was
what?
absolutely the vibe. And Zach has come into his own so much, and I'm so
Oh,
happy he's
yeah.
getting so much more screen time. But going to the confessional and being like, "I thought he was broke. I guess he's just putting this on his credit
Yeah,
card."
dude. I was like, "Yeah, it probably is." But hey, you know,
Whatever
optics, all
works.
about optics. You think I'm poor? Look at all these hibiscus petals. Think these fuckers are cheap?
That is why you're poor, by the way, because you
Yeah,
make
because you
decisions like that.
I had to leave him. He kept spending thousands of dollars on petals. It was getting to be too much. But that's when, and we know now because Jasmine and Melissa are talking, and they obviously know because Jasmine sniffed it out.
Yeah.
Uh, there's people in the group that know, but the only ones that are supposed to know are Zach, Benji, uh, Danny, and Nia. But
Yep.
it's leaked out a little bit. So when he calls Brittany, her initial reaction, I was with you. I was like, "Damn it." I was like, "Don't do this. Don't do
Mhm.
this just because you're not on the boat, just because you didn't get to be a part of it." Only
Mhm.
Danny and Nia were really supposed to know, and Zach was supposed to know to get it set up on the mainland. This is not a thing,
Yep.
but she keeps going down that path. And I was like, "This kind of sucks, Brittany." Like, even though, like, I'm glad she reeled it in later, the amount of times it took to get there was still like a bummer. I'm like, you can't just say, "That's great. Good for them."
I think and honestly, now that we're talking through it, pre-episode, or rather us recording, I was just so overflowing with happiness for Luke and Kristen that I just kind of gave everybody a pass. Janet
Sure.
doesn't really get a pass, but when it comes to the other people and Brittany trying to make it about herself, I'm like, you know what? She reined it in pretty quick. Now that I'm thinking about it, she did go into multiple confessionals, and she did it in the moment where she was clearly just thinking about herself, to the point
Hmm.
where she wanted to go on that fishing trip. Like, all right, let's just
Yeah,
settle
just
down. How about your reaction is, oh my God, that's great. Immediately. That's so great. What can we do? What are we
not I
supposed to do?
left out. I wanted to go fishing. Like, bruh.
I would have been so much happier, and I would have understood it so much more if your first reaction is just genuine happiness. And then you go to your confessional and you talk about how you would have loved to have been there. You feel a little sad that you couldn't have been there, but you don't want to be selfish. That would have been perfect. That would have
Yeah.
been completely reasonable, and we would have moved on from that. Instead, it was in the moment and the confessional, both times doubling down, talking about it, and then ending with, but I don't want to be selfish. It's like, okay, I'll let you go for now, but it took us a bit to get there.
It took too long to get there is the
Yeah.
correct thing. And it's just so on par that Jason's just eavesdropping outside, like trying to hear what's going on. So
He's
now
such a
he
rat.
knows he's just snitched, dude. And he goes and he tells Janet, and Janet's this is why, bro. Like her reaction to shit is bananas. She's like, so glad we left our child for Doty's engagement trip. It's like you can just be in Hawaii and they got
It's a
engaged on
cast
the
trip,
trip.
lady.
Yeah,
This is a
like
cast trip. This is your job. This is your only job, by the way. This is what you do for a living. You're getting paid for it. Like, no, the shadiness for something like this is insane. Like, enough. Like, again, by the way, let's go back to season one. You had your baby moon. You made it all about you. You disinvited Zach and Doty because you wanted to make it all about you. Luke included you. Danny and Nia sat down, who have problems with you right now, still said we should still make sure that Janet and Jason are included.
that's
How
the
about
difference.
something like that? A little bit of humility and a little bit of awareness would have gone a long way for Janet right here if she had said something along the lines of, I'm actually kind of surprised that I got invited to this, knowing that it was this trip that Danny and Nia set up. Now everybody kind of knows what it is. I don't feel comfortable being in the room because we're not cool right now. Fine. I'll let you go on that one. That's whatever. I don't give a shit. But when it comes down to it, for the trip to Hawaii that you're not paying for because you're on a cash trip, you're really going to bitch about this? Like, it just shows who you are. You're just a loser.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a loser response to this whole thing because at the very least, you and Doty were friends at one point. So you can
Yeah,
at least in this moment just swallow your pride and be like, you know what? Good for them. We're still not cool, but whatever. Maybe I'll dip out on dinner. And if you're going to
sure.
dip out on dinner
Fine.
with the right intentions, then you would at least send her a text, like when you know that she knows, and be like, hey,
Yep.
I decided not to go until we figure our shit out, but I'm so happy for you guys. Like there's ways to
That
handle it
There's
to
so
where
many ways, so many mature ways to handle it, and she just doesn't have that maturity.
no, and she's talking to Zach on the phone, and she's like, "Look, I'm gonna dip out on dinner. I'm not gonna go because we're not cool." Zach's like, "Hey, what he's implying is this actually might be a good moment for you to show like there's an olive branch
Yep.
because it's kind of
Absolutely.
a casual stand around hors d'oeuvre cocktail kind of thing. It's not that deep, it's not that serious. This could go a long way for you
Yep.
guys figuring your shit out." And Janet, her intention was not to be kind.
Yep.
Her intention is she's mad and upset that this happened on the trip, and she doesn't want to go because she's mad at Doty and mad at Luke and mad that she got invited on this trip under the guise of it's a family or a cast trip. And now she's like, "Oh, it's about Doty." Man, the whole thing sucked. I
It-
even wrote right here. I wrote
You suck.
Janet. I wrote no. Jason and Janet are just going to dinner. Losers. There's
Just
losers.
absolute losers. And you saw like a little bit of pushback, which was a little weird in this scene with Jason, where Janet does
I was
start going off the
so
rails. She
happy
starts
that he said
talking.
something.
So am I. And she starts talking about tomorrow. Well, you know what? Tomorrow's a wash too. I'm not going to go tomorrow because now this whole trip is just about her engagement. I can't believe that we're here. I don't know what to do anymore. And she's basically borderline talking about going home.
Well, you
Like
also
that.
left out the part where she goes and tells Brittany and says, "Well, they already excluded us from dinner." It's like, you liar. Zach
Yeah.
was trying to convince you to go to dinner.
You just said that you didn't want to go to dinner. Like, at least own that if you're going to be a petty little bitch. So now we're talking about lying. to people. So now you're
Jason
lying about what things are
Jason
going.
clocks her on it. He goes, "That we
Jason
were not
immediately clocked her,
excluded."
and he's like, "All right, I don't understand why you keep talking about tomorrow. Why don't we just play things one day at a time? We'll see how we feel tomorrow. If we want to go tomorrow, we can go tomorrow. Tomorrow's not a wash already." And then she sits down and she's still going off and talking about tomorrow. And then he finally has a backbone all of a sudden. And he's like, "I really wish that you would just stop making decisions without talking to me." Then there's a little peek behind the curtain. It's just a tiny
Mhm.
little peek, like, "Ooh,
It's a very
is this
important peak.
real? Are we now claiming that Danny and Nia don't show their relationship on camera? Maybe you guys don't either. Does this happen more often than what we're seeing? Because right now, all we're seeing are these little fake moments where you guys are in cahoots. You're both being petty. You're breaking up friendships because that's what you do, apparently.
You're
I'm starting to
eavesdropping.
think, I'm starting to think that Janet is definitely like this. We do say that she has changed her personality a little bit when it comes to the cameras, of course. I do think deep down she is this person, but I don't know. I'm still unsure about Jason. I don't like Jason, but I'm still unsure that he really wants to get on board with all of the things that Janet's doing. And now watching this, it's like, yeah, you can kind of see that there's going to be
Mhm.
problems created if you keep going down this road and you keep trying to make your marriage all about this and start alienating people just because they don't agree with what you're doing or they're putting you in weird positions. Now all of a sudden you might see a little pushback from your pushover husband who's starting to grow a backbone.
Yeah, it was shocking. It was shocking to see, and like you said, it's a very important peek behind the curtain. It's ever so slight, but it tells a much bigger story
Mhm.
of what this relationship might be
Yep.
like. But I'm just glad he said something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Agreed.
glad he said something, and Brittany's like feeling awkward in the room, but then she defends Janet. She's like, "I think it's a good idea because I'm team Janet for life." It's like,
Fucking speak open. Like, just be open about how you feel, Brittany. Like,
yeah, dude.
I get so annoyed when it comes to Janet, Brittany. Like, she just lives in this gray area where whatever Janet does, even if it's deplorable, she finds some way to defend
Because
her.
she's nice
That
to
is,
me. She's
yeah,
nice to me. Like, that's not a good reason to be friends with
everyone's nice to
somebody.
you. You're going through so much shit with Jax, and people keep showing up. Everybody's showing up at your house, and they're eating all these fast foods. Michelle doesn't, but she's still showing up. Like, everybody has shown up for you this season and in your life for what you're going through. Everybody should be treated the same at this point. Like, I
I
don't
agree.
understand why Brittany is showing favoritism to this asshole.
It makes no sense to me, but
Yeah.
it does set up for what it looks like we're going to see next week by her involvement in this whole thing. But
Yeah.
we get to the party itself. This is when Brittany says, "I feel excluded, but I'm being selfish." It's like,
Yep.
good. It took you to the end of the
Okay.
episode, but you got there. It's still not great. But Doute gets back to the room. And to your point earlier, this is a happy room. These
It's a
people are
very happy
stoked.
room. Yep. I didn't see any rose petals or hibiscus flowers anywhere, but
No, no, they flashed over to they weren't in the presidential suite right there because
oh,
it
they weren't. They were
flashes
in their room.
over where maybe they were, but at least in the bedroom because it did flash over
I was
to,
wondering how they talked Kristen into going to the presidential suite right away.
I don't know. Because
Yeah.
what I do know is that maybe it was just the bedroom, but when Zach was like, "We moved you guys into the presidential suite, we got a camera cut," and there was
Yeah.
petals all over the bed, so maybe they just got the
Yeah.
bed covered. I don't
Maybe.
know. But yeah, I mean, for them to successfully pull this off with Detective Doty being involved, and for them to all be genuinely happy for her, and that's the other thing from earlier when Jason and Janet were talking.
Hmm.
Jason wants to be a part of this. You can
Yeah.
tell he wants to be a part of this, and you can tell he's bummed that he's not. And I think because of that, that's why he finally grew some balls and was able to
Yep.
say anything. He grew
Yeah.
like one ball, not
Just
two. It
one
was
ball.
like
Half
one
a ball.
ball.
I'll give him half a ball.
Half a ball, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he's bummed out. And you would hope that Janet would take that into consideration, but it
Yeah.
seems to be whatever she wants to do is going to be what happens. So
Yep.
miserable, just miserable. But let's get to some questions.
First question up here. There's a couple of people who have asked. The one that I see right now is from C Schwartz 2389. Blocked by Janet. We are not blocked by Janet, I don't believe, but
Are we
she did
blocked by
go
Janet?
private. I
Oh,
don't
Jasmine
know.
just followed us.
Oh, there we
Like
go.
literally right now, Jasmine just followed us. That's cool. Did she get some tea? Nah,
God,
that's
could you
cool.
imagine if we
Thanks,
could just
Jasmine.
share some tea real quick?
That'd be sick. From Max June, was that FaceTime with Jax necessary? None of the Jax stuff was necessary.
Nope. Certainly wasn't. From Weimer Will. Is Brittany pulling a Sheena and making the engagement all about herself? She was dangerously close. She reeled it back
Hmm.
in at the very, very end, but
But
she
still,
didn't go full Sheena. Oh, wait. From C Right Fam 6. We know Steele cried when Doute got engaged, but did Shooter tear up?
I
Neither of
didn't.
us cried. Steele
I
didn't tear
didn't.
up. We were just
I was
happy.
happy. Yeah, it was a happy moment, and I think I didn't cry because of the silly lead up to it. Like it was so goofy watching them try to get their shit
Yeah.
together that I was laughing more than I was anything. So when it happened, I was just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's just so cute."
It is. Oh, this is actually kind of a good point from Harper and Harvey. Could Brittany's loyalty to Janet have affected Luke's decision to not include her? That's a possibility.
Yeah, I thought it was because of when you said earlier that it would make sense that she would go because they're close. I was like, they're not great right now because of
Yeah.
the weird shit going on with Janet and the fact that Brittany will take Janet's side over Doty, but then claims to play neutral. And
Hmm.
obviously, that behind closed doors, Doty and Luke are talking about that. It made a
Yeah.
lot of sense to me that she's not there. And you would think if I'm Brittany, maybe you would look inward there and go, why wasn't I included in one of my best
Yeah.
friends' events? Like, why didn't they tell me? It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't think she's gonna have that kind of awareness.
No, God, no. But wouldn't it be nice?
Yep. I'm just gonna address this because a couple people were asking from Bex Cross. The questions about cast shakeups and changes, we're not going to do it this episode because this was a good episode.
Yeah, this was
I
happy.
think we'll shave the shave. We will save the we're not going to shave. I'm on vacation. I'm not shaving. We're going to save all the rumors and cast shakeup stuff for the end of the season. We'll probably do it like at the end of the reunion, like who we think is going to come back and who's not. Things like that.
Mm-hmm. We'll definitely break it down, but not after this one.
Yeah.
Are we blocked by Janet? I just saw
No.
that one too. Did you
That
check?
wasn't I pulled that picture from Twitter.
Janet. There's no way she knows who we are. No, yeah, we're not blocked.
Yeah, no. Let's do two more here. See if we can find some good ones in here. We kind of already talked about this from Sweet Sarah 10. Why did they cut the scene of Luke freaking out in the room? Why preview it and not show it? I'm happy that they downplayed it.
I
We're
am
both pretty
too.
happy that they downplayed it because, as we know, Luke was going through a lot. He had a lot on his mind. So using that as just kind of like a little nugget of this is what he's going through. I mean, we watched him. I think the snorting wasabi scene is actually a microcosm for him and Kristen's relationship because Kristen was the one who said, "I'll give you $20," and Luke did it immediately.
Hmm.
I don't think that's because Luke was going through some shit. I think that's actually what Luke and Kristen like doing. I
Like
think Luke's like,
one on one at like a
"Give me
sushi
your 20
restaurant. She's
bucks."
like,
Yeah.
snort that. He's like, all right.
Sure. You got $20? Sure. I'll do anything for $20.
I could
Like,
see
I think
that.
that's what they like about each other.
From Bex Cross, this is a good question. What on earth do you think Jason sees in Jax to be such a ride or die with nothing in common? I don't know what this weird thing
I have
is with
no
Jax.
idea.
Why he holds him to a different standard than somebody like Danny, who's actually a good person, but he treats
Yeah.
Jax like he's the best person ever, even though Jax continues to fuck up. I don't know. Like I
I
truly
have no
don't know what
idea.
that infatuation is. It's bizarre.
It is so strange. I really don't understand it. And to be fair, I don't care for it. I don't want to see any more of it. I don't want to see anybody making excuses for him. He
Hmm.
sucks. He's a terrible human being. We need to put an end to it because I'm done with it.
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm over it. But
Yep.
oh, good
Yeah.
episode. It's a good
Good
episode. Yep.
it feels nice to just recap the valley and not be
And
angry
not
about it the whole
shit
time,
on
you
it.
know?
Yeah. See, we told you guys if
We
they do
want
it
these shows to be good, and if they're good, we're happy. If they're bad, we're not.
exactly. And I'll give, you know what? I'll give these if you're not following us on Instagram and you didn't see this, let me find it. Because on one of the videos, you guys want a little nugget, and since we teased some little stuff just for the future. Here. So on one of our reels where we are crucifying this show in the past couple weeks, Dodie commented. She said, "Don't stop watching. I'm coming on the pod ASAP, guys." So we
Maybe
have
we'll
that
have
to
her
look
on, like,
forward to.
before the reunion, after the reunion. We'll have her on
We'll
as
have her on when
soon as.
she's ready. She's a new mom, so
Yeah,
obviously it's on
exactly.
her schedule. But she does want to come on to the podcast and talk everything Valley with us. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated
Yep.
when we have more on that. But yeah, other than that, You got anything else?
Nope, all good here.
All right, that's our show, bros. Gotta go.
Bye.